The tremendous popularity of WandaVision further adds to Marvel Cinematic Universe's fans' anticipation that Loki's other magical themed series would be a smash hit. The series will also be the God of Mischief's first solo appearance, despite the fact that he's been around for over a decade. With Loki being such an important character finally getting his due, the MCU must stop any blunders that have hampered previous works in a variety of ways. Some of these are so unappealing that they will clash with the show's and protagonist look, whilst others are simply unappealing to begin with. In terms of sympathy, Loki has gotten way too much of it, the bulk of it undeserved. His worst characteristics have largely been overlooked, owing to Loki's portrayal as a tragic hero, which was not done on purpose but resulted from the MCU's failure to provide enough characterization to the people he wronged. Loki doesn't have to be depicted as a villain, but it should stop reinstating his sad status because it devalues the supporting character's importance. It also serves as a roadblock to seeing Loki as anything more than a reluctant foe. The MCU has strongly stressed codependency, with characters such as Tony Stark, Gamora, Thor, and Star-Lord among others, all experiencing positive character growth as a result of falling in love. This has unintentionally encouraged the belief that a person's actions should be affected purely by their sexual desire, which isn't the best technique. Furthermore, a character like Loki, who has shown little interest in dating, will suffer if the only path for him to improve is through a romantic interest rather than through his encounters. Fans have worked out Loki's wacky reasoning, which has been played for laughs. However, at the end of his first sprint, the MCU has made the error of making him too much of a jokester, and he had become a one-trick pony. Instead of only cracking jokes, the TV show can dabble in this field in innovative ways by making Loki use his humorous nature as a form of deceit. Many characters have become caricatures of themselves as a result of an overemphasis on a certain personality trait, something Loki must resist. A lot of the Thanos battle made no sense, particularly the big ones where characters snapped despite having a strategy. Loki has done this before, such as when he ordered the Destroyer to kill Thor, only to later say that he had once considered Thor to be his brother. Since the titular character has been known to fly off the handle, the Loki series is put in a situation where snap judgments are possible. There's no reason for Loki to be too emotionally motivated in the TV show when he's portrayed as a fun, escapist character. Several characters, including Star-Lord, Scarlet Witch, and Thor, have received these unexpected abilities, only to have them fade away in later books. This blunder will be magnified for Loki because his new skills would be presented as important in the show, but not in the grand scheme of things. Loki's abilities have been enough fleshed out for true enthusiasts to comprehend how they function. Since Loki's initial run was so long, revealing new powers that had just been speculated at before would be a cop-out, as it would make him too similar to the other heroes. Many fans complained that the 4-year span of his ambiguous status as the bogus Odin was left unaddressed in the Thor films because Loki was a supporting character. This is something that the MCU has made a mess of in general, with vague statuses concerning characters' fates. The Loki series, like WandaVision, is most likely to be a one-off, which means the supporting characters seen here have a slim chance of reappearance. Fans would be irritated with the lack of resolution by leaving their fates and futures unknown. For other times, the MCU has chosen to avoid addressing or answering apparent fan questions. This was a little affront to audiences who are hoping for a conclusion to these tales. Loki's brother Thor is the most eagerly awaited character in the series. Fans would be upset if his status isn't listed at all, since it'll be the first thing on their minds. With too much time travel uncertainty on the rise, the MCU's ambiguity can be avoided at all times in favor of providing clarification. Many claim that Loki is superior to Thor because of his ability to use magic in addition to his martial arts, but the MCU made the error of making him too easy to defeat as the franchise advanced. In the end, his abilities are very uneven, as he has defeated strong characters at times, but fallen to those that seem to be weaker. With the spotlight now firmly on Loki, the TV show must affirm the full scope of his powers, as well as the types of beings he will confront. Instead of trying to find out why Loki fails when he shouldn't, fans will be able to understand how he works. While Loki has a large following, this does not obscure the fact that he has deceived many characters. The MCU, on the other hand, has a terrible habit of undervaluing villains' jobs, to the point that their evil deeds have taken a backseat to their charm. Since Loki will not be the villain this time, it is important that the real villains be portrayed as antagonists in order to emphasize Loki's own protagonist role. By downplaying their villainy, the notion of them posing a threat to Loki would be lost. With so many characters on screen at times, the MCU has been cluttered. Avengers Infinity War did a decent job of doing all this, but it did suffer from the narrative being told in plain terms. Bringing various points of views would be detrimental in Loki, since the main character wants to be front and center. The MCU has also used various characters to divert attention away from the main protagonist for shock factor, as the latter character reappears. But because Loki has already exuded a mystical aura, it's time for audiences to pursue his story rather than speculate about what he's up to.